everybody fighting for? Why can't people help people? That's the question.
Oh my God, it's people helping people!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another amazing episode of People Helping People. Feels good. Oh, man. I hope everybody's having a beautiful Friday. Another funky, fun Friday. And gosh, it feels so good to be doing what we're doing. Feels like every day, no matter how chaotic it is, on the Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I get to be here with you guys. It's a breath of fresh air. Setting up, I get my little jitters and I get excited. So for anybody that's just joining us for the first time, welcome to People Helping People. This is a live show. So if you have any questions, comments, notes for us, if there's any issues, technical issues that you guys notice and you want to let us know, we'll leave it in the comment box below. And being that it's a live show, it's interactive. So I like to open the doors to anybody that's watching to be a part of the show. Tell us about your day. Tell us some stories. Let us know what's going on. And I see you guys in the chat right now. Your boy B. Thank you for being here, brother. Good to see you. Welcome in. Rich, legend in the house. Gosh, man, I feel like these crowds are going to be cheering for a minute here. Good to see you, Rich. Thank you for being here. Oh, man, I am really excited for today's show. We have an incredible guest waiting for you guys very patiently in the background. And, you know, we've been blossoming. There's been a beautiful snowball effect here at People Helping People. And the community and camaraderie that we've built around this platform has been so otherworldly. It's more than I could have ever expected. So, you know what? This one's for you guys. Thank you. Feels good. Today's show is sponsored by T-Town Boxing. It is also sponsored by Mike Sokowski and the Diabetes Network of Arizona. And we'll touch more on that later in the show. But without further ado, I don't want to leave my guest waiting too long. She's patiently sitting on the sidelines here. And this guest I am extremely excited to have on for so many reasons. I have had some phone conversations with her, and just the way that she speaks, she's very, very eloquent, and she has taken her career, her life path in helping other people, in educating one another, and bringing in different business relationships and offering her mind to help better the people around her in the community. She also is a radio show host. I mean, the accolades go on. This woman is an absolute juggernaut of a human being who wears many hats. So I am very, very blessed to have her on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, Lydia Aranda. Welcome to the show, Lydia.
Oh, thank you for having me on, Alexandra. This is so exciting. You do great bringing attention to so many issues and opportunities for people and really highlighting, I just love the title of the show, highlighting that people who are helping people, and that's what we need to do now more than ever.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. And I am just so excited before we brought you on here. You know, I could have just written or read from an entire book, a few chapters of the amount of accolades that you carry. You're just a very well-versed individual, and you're doing what we're doing here at People Helping People, and that is just building a beautiful community. So thank you so much for being here. And I also want to go ahead and give you the floor to introduce yourself before we get started.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, for your listeners, your viewers, for people that might take a look at this in the future. My name is Lydia Aranda. I am coming to you from Southern Arizona, and I like to say that I'm a connector. I have been blessed with opportunities in my education, in my family, in my career path that keeps me in the middle of issues and opportunities. And over the years, I've been able to build up a good network of folks who are like-minded and folks who are doing very different things, and maintain that network into relationships and maintain relationships toward the end of solving issues, providing solutions, being collaborative, and all of that just toward, generally speaking, trying to make the world a better place. So that's in business, that's in education, and that's with a lot of the social or political or environmental opportunities that we find ourselves in as people every single day. For my day job, if you will, I have been in private sector and corporate America for many years. I've been in the public sector and state government, and I've served in the nonprofit sector locally and nationally. And all of that mixed up together has allowed me to really learn about what goes on in communities locally and across the country, and even in other countries, and put my skills, hopefully, and my experience, hopefully, to really good use in trying to serve those needs, but also trying to identify other things that we might be proactive about.
I love that. Wow. I mean, you just, like I said, you wear so many hats and in such a beautiful way, and it's really heartwarming to know that there's other people in the world that care. And so to have you here is just, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude to have you here, Lydia. And you mentioned that you are a connector of individuals. So is there a main source of people that are coming to you to be connected to whatever lane that they're looking to get into? Who are your clientele for that?
Well, that's a great question, and I would say there are three different types. So for several years now, I've had a consulting firm, and my clients tend to be nonprofit organizations or community agencies, and sprinkled here and there are some private sector companies as well. So my business clients are usually in management, or whether that's project management, senior and executive management, or they might be even elected officials. And they are looking to accomplish something, usually by way of growth, or maybe helping to take their initiative or take their company into direction. So that can be business development, that could be creating alliances out in their industry or in the community, or it might be fundraising. So that's one of folks that it is absolutely the job to connect for and connect on behalf and get some messaging out there. The other set of folks are students. I'm the daughter of educators, and proud daughter and stepdaughter and goddaughter of many folks who have been formal teachers, professors, or been in the education industry, higher education, and as well as elementary. And so what I learned is that students have a lot of questions that they aren't always going to have in the classroom. And they often will look to see who they could find as a mentor. And I know that we use the word mentor a lot these days in business and in community, but mentoring somebody really is all about listening and paying attention and just being a good guidepost to help folks as they go along their journey. Coaching and teaching and all those kinds of similar, but not exactly the same as mentoring. And what I've learned over the years is that for some reason, people want students that I get to be in with, either in the classroom as a guest teacher or guest lecturer, or student groups that I find myself giving some of my volunteer time to, they follow up and want to be in a pathway, and they're curious about things, like any of us would be. They kind of wonder, like, how do you do that, or how did you get that job, or what drew you into your field of study? And so that's another group that I am really excited always to help connect, and usually not just myself connecting with them, but connecting with other people who can be of benefit to them, or connect them with opportunities where they can start to build their skills and build up their experience, and those kinds of things. And then the last category I'd say is communities, helping to connect communities, especially those that might be disparate. So nonprofit community, for example, is very diverse, very different in missions of each organization, but there are a lot of commonalities, and sometimes it's very easy for nonprofit groups to kind of be in their own bubble, industry, or their own field, or even their own geography. So I like to help connect them back out into other areas that may not be top of mind, and get them going another way. Or when I spoke about groups disparate, they may have what might seem to be conflicting missions or conflict goals on the surface. But when you really dig down deep into it, most often there's an opportunity to actually complement each other. Organizations can find another partner there that's not doing, certainly not the same thing, but maybe not even a similar thing, but can offer a product or a service or a pathway where if they work together, they might have much more opportunity to succeed. So those are the three different groups. And I love being a connector. It allows me to listen well. It allows me to meet folks and really think, like I said, beyond the surface. And as we get older, all of us, as we gain more experience and go along the years, I think it's really refreshing when we can learn about new things ourselves. I'm always wanting to see where I can improve and what I can do that's new, and how I might bring that back into whatever it is I'm offering.
I love that. And it is so incredible what you're speaking on is seems as though it can be a lost art of, well, let me say this. I feel like sometimes in business, or whether you're an artist, a musician, or a business owner, there can be a sense of gatekeeping where people don't want to give whatever sauce it is that's making the meals, and for whatever reason, people like to retain that knowledge. And I've found the most purpose in my life by opening those floodgates for anybody and everybody to connect in one way or another. And it sounds like you're doing the same. And that is a perfect segue into being I'm curious as to where that stems from. Where did this nurturing love for the community stem from prior to your careers? Was it your family? Was it your upbringing? Like, where does this nurturing love stem from?
Absolutely, my family. Very blessed, like I said, with parents and step-parents who, in their own right, were always very engaged in community, and not just through the education field, but just as advocates and activists and curious people, and sort of being, it was important to each of them, and then collectively together, for them to feel that they were being productive members of society, if you will. And so the dinner conversations and breakfast conversations that happened around our kitchen table were really wonderful first row seats for my brother and I to learn a lot about what our folks were doing in our extended family, and it was always expected of us to be involved in our church, or in our out in our community with some volunteer activities and things like that, even though it wasn't regular, like it wasn't every Thursday or something that we would do that, but there was a regular cadence to that. So when I found myself in my professional career and working in organizations, I always paid attention to the companies I was with and what they were doing for community. Not only raising my hand to be a part of that, but it really bothered me if a company I was with just had no community engagement. I just always thought, especially if there was an opportunity to do so. I mean, business is business, and you have to focus, mind the shop and keep the business going. But if there were little things to allow the staff or the employees to get engaged, and I worked for a couple of companies that just wasn't their thing. They kind of went, "Why would we want to do that?" And I thought, "Huh." And at first, I thought, "Oh, well, here's a learning moment, for me to think about why is it that I'm asking this question and maybe help share." But other times it was really clear that maybe these organizations or business owners just really kind of couldn't care less about what was happening in the community around them. And so those were always the times I knew it was time for me to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. And I love to hear the backstory of, if it was the round tables, sitting down and having dinner with your family, those conversations, or if there was a pivotal moment in school where somebody just sparked that inside of you. And that's really lovely. I love that. And I want to know, as far as the consulting, now we broke down these three categories. For the people that are listening right now, and there's people here in the Southern Arizona region, do you work with people outside of Arizona in the consulting, or is it
Oh, yes.
region specific?
No, I very much work all across the country, and like I said, even internationally. In my career, I've had many roles that, even if they've been based out of Arizona, they've been statewide, nationwide, or international roles. And so those networks are still networks and circles that I run with, if you will, and keep in contact with. And so clients of mine or colleagues of mine with whom I might collaborate to be giving back to something in community are very much all across many different geographies. I was just in Los Angeles earlier this week for a national gathering that was fairly an intimate gathering because it was only about 140 people. And there were leaders from corporations, from national nonprofits, and even from governmental commissions and things like that, and some college students. And this organization it's by the Aspen Institute, called Aspen Latinos in Society Initiative. And it was an annual economic mobility summit. And so lots of conversations were going on in a very small room, talking about, in particular, the theme this year for this summit was around the business of sports. And that really brings a lot of different conversations together, entrepreneurial, corporate, but also physical and nutrition and community in the sense of Olympics and what that means for Special Olympics and how people may have had experiences. It also brings together media and entertainment, journalism, and all these other music and the fact that sport, what it teaches us as individuals and how those skills go on to guide us and drive us in our life as well. So there was everything from the individual to the big conglomerate of approach and of topic, and also looking at the diverse cultures that over time are included or not included, genders and age groups and all these things that are happening with a lot of different sports, not just American sports like football, like national, NFL, but global sports like soccer and some other things. So it was just really a good example. Some of the folks in that room are my clients, and some of them are just great friends. Some who I hadn't seen in a long time, and others who used to be in Arizona, now are other states doing great things. So I think that's a great cross-section example there.
Yeah, I love that. And it's just I'm sitting here listening and getting excited because there are a lot of people that are listening to the show right now that are either entrepreneurs themselves or, aspiring entrepreneurs. And I want to make sure that if you were to put your consulting business out there for this is a two-part question, one of which, how do people get in touch with you, and the second one, who of the listeners should get in touch with you?
Well, thank you for that opportunity. First of all, wearing my consulting hat, they are free to email me anytime to a little bit more about services or projects or ways that we might get involved. My email address is LAA at lydiaaranda.org. So again, LAA at LYDIAARANDA.org. And that's probably the easiest way. And then secondly, some specialties and some particular and services that I provide range from building stakeholder and alliance relationships, helping build stakeholders or create new strategic relationships for organizations. Sometimes I can help with holding an interim role or a short-term role in an organization, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit business. As companies or organizations through change, they often are in need of some leadership, but permanently, or maybe not even full-time. Maybe they need a part-time, senior director of whatever, or a part-time, or just 9 months of someone to come in interim and kind of hold things steady while the board or the organization are launching whatever they're doing. Or they're just fine in their organization and they are looking for someone to implement some new strategy, product, or growth. Those are the kind of things I get involved in. So fundraising, which these days it involves an awful lot of writing. It seems that there are folks who need a lot of help there because they've lost their federal grants or they've shifted into some area that maybe is being economically challenged. And also governance, so helping with board relations, advisory councils, and those kind of outreach.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many avenues, and I feel like if anybody is a business owner that is listening or aspiring to do so, a simple email would be a great way to pick the brain of somebody who is very experienced, very well versed in that whole world, and I'm sure that you can, at least if you're not the person to help, you can find somebody that can, or shoot them in the right direction.
Yep.
And so I went ahead and I put your email. Oh, it's backwards.
Oh,
There we go. I
thank
put your
you.
email right here. Yeah. So if
And it's
anybody,
showing up just fine. It's showing up nice and clear.
is it okay? Good, good. But yeah, I want to give everybody the opportunity to have these outlets and resources, and that's what this show is built on. And so, to have you here and talking about these things and to open your door for other people to utilize the resources that we have to better their lives, and you do that so well in so many different avenues. And that brings me to my next topic, is that you actually have a radio show, which I can't wait to be a part of.
Yes, we're so excited to have you on coming soon, later this
Yeah.
month. The radio show that I have the opportunity to host, and I'm just loving it so much. It's a newer show on a very long-standing radio station here in the Tucson area. The station is called KVOI, The Voice. The radio show that I do is called Rainmakers, and it is the Monday morning segment of a weekday program called The Mornings, which is a positive talk radio every day, Monday through Friday, from 7 to 9 a.m. On this show, there's a different host. So again, I'm the Monday host on Rainmakers. And so we have 5 different hosts, 5 different perspectives, and 5 different attentions to things that are going on in the community here in Tucson, in Pima County, across southern Arizona, and even across the Southwest. And what's particularly exciting about this is that it is a place where I get to engage and do what you're doing right now. I get to ask people about their organizations, about their business, about initiatives or projects they have coming up, how people can find them and get involved with them, or how we as a community might find ways to collaborate toward issues that are important to all of us. So that can be anything from wellness and health and nutrition and other kinds of issues around policy or new innovations that are coming up in the health space or the small business space. It could be about nonprofits that maybe are having a fundraiser, or maybe you're launching a new service and they'd like to start to get the word out. It might be about volunteerism as a general topic, and giving great examples of people are curious about wanting to volunteer more, or how they might become more engaged with certain things. We do promotions and conversations around that. And at the end of the day, what Rainmakers really allows our listeners, because our listeners, and we also live stream our show every Monday morning on YouTube and Facebook as well. So we have listeners and viewers, and they're able to call in live and ask some questions, or maybe send questions later to us that then we at the show will address and get back to folks. But what it really allows folks to do is really have conversations about how we can be disruptive in our innovation in a positive, how we can collaborate to create positive social impact in our communities, and basically help families and businesses thrive. That's really what it's all. So creating some rain, and that's why we call it Rainmakers. And the other shows that are on, my sister shows, if you will, or my brother shows that are on for the rest of the week.
Keep going. Sorry, I lost video.
Oh,
You're
okay.
doing great. One second.
The other shows involve things like civic engagement. They involve things around small business policy, not only in the restaurant and retail world, but other kinds of impacts, maybe about taxes or other kinds of things, benefits. We talk about the history and the tourism in our region, Southern Arizona, and what that does for business and opportunities for young and old. And then we also speak about the University of Arizona. And on Fridays, the Friday host, Dr. Ed Ackerley, speaks a lot on his segment called Wonder about those positive or engaging or aha moments that happen at the University of Arizona that folks may not know about. So not only big events, but really some innovations in research, or some different ways of tackling issues related to student housing, or the expense and the need for more scholarships, or these kinds of things. So it really is a fun show. And I love kicking it off every Monday morning. It's bright and early. And I know that you're going to be with us pretty soon. October 27th, I believe, is the Monday morning that you'll be joining us. So I'm so excited for that.
I'm really excited too. Yes, the 27th. So if you guys would like to tune in, I would say just tune into her show prior to that. Get a feel for it. And what you had sent me of what you do, I sit here, this is a new endeavor for me, right? This whole lane of having a podcast and interviewing people, I've always loved having deep conversations with people, understanding their why, their purpose, their goals. That drives me. But to sit here and have an organized platform to be able to have these conversations has always, it's something I never really thought that I would be in this lane. I wouldn't think that I would be doing this, but I watched your show and it just is so concise. You're very well spoken. And that makes me wonder, before you had started the radio show, did you expect to be doing something like that? Or was it an opportunity that you had to chase after? Did it fall in your lap? How did that come about?
Well, it was not something that I thought I'd be doing, but it did fall in my lap. And I have to say, and I'm knocking on wood right now, some of the most eye-opening and rewarding experiences throughout my life and throughout my career have been exactly that. Something I never would have guessed, that then a door or window opened up and allowed me to jump in. And this was one of them. I have had many opportunities in the past to co-host, including here locally in Tucson and in other cities. And so that was something that I was doing with some of my fellow hosts on this particular show. Opportunity for me to have my own day, my own show, came quite suddenly at the beginning of 2025, when there was some shifting to show lineup and different people getting some opportunities, and they needed a host. They gave me a call and said, do you think you might want to do this, and would you be available to do this every Monday? And so I've had a few Mondays because Mondays sometimes are holidays, so that's been a little fun to be able to go back and replay some best of shows. But it was a very quick opportunity, a quick decision, that was about 10 days that I had to make up my mind. And then when I made up my mind, I had to start thinking about is sort of the theme of the show and how I would approach it, and start to line up guests, all that kind of thing. And so it's been a true joy. And those early mornings on Mondays, as I drive to the studio, it's also just a real nice way to start off the week.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And it's like you said, it's just something so rewarding about having these conversations with people, and it really has sparked my faith in humanity. Like, it just is, it's so overwhelming, the amount of love and support that there is in the world. And if you put that out there, you receive that tenfold. And having a platform like that to be able to have the conversations that you're having and open up the conversation for the rest of the community to be involved is just so special. But I need to acknowledge that my camera is overheating. So we're going to take a quick 1-minute break, and I will be right back with you guys. So if you don't mind, hang on tight. I'm going to grab a little cooling system here and point it at my camera. So we'll be right back. Hang tight.
Thank you.
And we're back. Thank you, everybody, for holding tight for a moment. We're having to set up some things in here to make sure our camera stays cool. It's a little toasty in the house. I usually turn down the temperature in the house about 3 to 4 degrees just because I like being a little cold and a little on edge while I record. And I forgot to do that this time in the last show too. And so the camera's been unhappy with me. But I appreciate everybody for hanging tight. I appreciate you, Lydia, for hanging tight.
You bet.
And yes, we were just talking about your radio show. And I'm curious with the radio show, what is one of the biggest things that you've learned having that show? Has there been a lot of aha moments, or has there been one encompassing lesson that you've learned from your show?
You know, I've learned a lot, but one of the things that I don't know that it was so much of a surprise, but it was very much highlighted and very much underscored that people are people. And it just kind of doesn't matter what industry my guests are in, what specific organization they might serve in. But people are very curious to learn more. And also, everyone has a story to tell, even when they're shy about it. And if one is able to be in a moment where there is a message trying to be shared and be able to just make that storyteller a little bit more comfortable or a little bit more confident, then the stories that they share that provide just these natural life lessons to us and career lessons, professional lessons or learning lessons as well. It just comes out and it's the warmest feeling in the whole wide world. And people who I look up, who I am inspired by, who I feel are great examples, have come on my show, and I'm just in awe and so thrilled to have them be willing to take time out of their day to do that. And for them to turn around on occasion and say to me, boy, you really made that easy for me. Or I didn't know I was going to be able to get through telling that story or sharing this. I was so nervous walking in. And to me, they don't look nervous or they don't seem like it sometimes. And I think, what they have to be nervous about? They're wonderful in what they're doing. And it just goes to show you that we all have this human side that needs a connection right at the moment when we need to impart some sort of lesson. So,
well said. I feel like I need to give you one of these. It's so true. Gosh, let humans be humans and understand that we all, no matter how beautiful it is on the exterior and how much work we've put in, there are moments where that little bit of nerves and shakiness comes into play. And I think it's so healthy too. It's so healthy to see, like you said, maybe people that you idolize come in and feel that human feeling and realizing that being uncomfortable, there's growth in that. And also showing understanding to the people that you meet that they could be feeling the same thing as well. And it's just so, it's so common. And I feel like a lot of individuals in the world feel as though they're alone feeling those things in moments like that. So it is a very, very human thing to go through. And I really wanted to talk a little bit about people that are aspiring to have a voice like yourself and be a connector and have such influence on your community and the people around you. If you have advice for anybody that's aspiring to do what you do, what words of advice would you give?
oh gosh, I think one of the things I would remind folks about any age is as they are aspiring to get involved with something that does involve communication, that the strongest skill they can have is to truly be an active listener. And it's a hard one if we are in roles where we need to respond, we need to speak, we need to say something, we need to do something, or if we're in that environment, which our world is in that environment right now and has been for some time. We are in such a fast-paced attention might be the right word there. We have to run at such a fast pace, but we need to remind ourselves that really this isn't about, and certainly what I remember all the time is this isn't about Lydia speaking or Lydia talking. It's that Lydia is helping to facilitate others who are trying to use their voice or share their words or put out their message. And so that comes first with being able to be an active listener, paying attention.
Well said. It's so true, and it's such an art form as well. You know, being this here is a live show, and there's a lot of nuance in reading through comments and making sure that the equipment is working as it's going, and I'm learning how to do those things as if they're second nature versus having all of those things kind of convoluting my mindset and being a good listener. But thank you for that, because I take that with me, you know. And the fact of the matter is, shedding the light on your guest as best as you can and allowing them to speak about the things that they'd like to speak about is so important. And yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. Let's
I
see.
think I've learned, if I may share, another thought with you. I have a good friend and colleague who teaches at the University of Arizona, and every year for several years now, he's included me in this, but he invites different leaders, if you will, and I use that word just kind of as a big umbrella, because some of them are business executives, some are elected officials, some folks are other professors or teachers of some sort, or coaches and trainers, and some have had a whole variety of things in their career similar to me, and he invites us to come in and speak to his class. And I've had others do that in the past, and I always get all nervous and riled up right before going into the class, because I'm thinking, what in the world do I have to teach anybody in this short of time? But what he has coached me and others to do is, you're coming in to talk and to show, and you're going to teach by your story, but I really want you to just talk about your story. And every semester it's a slightly different story, right? Because life goes on and we learn things and different things are happening. And over time, I've also held different roles or different positions as I am being invited to go into his classroom. And I look around young faces, and it's hard to read students sometimes, because sometimes they really are paying attention, but they look like they're just off in, some other la la land, because they're just focused on you. And other times you really don't know if they're listening or not, and that's fine too. But the notes that I get afterwards are people that will stay after class for a minute to just have a conversation or to ask a question, or even to say thank you for taking the time. Now, it's not lost on me that perhaps in their class they're also taught that they're supposed to do that. But you can really tell when people are being genuine or have something that they want to ask. And that is such a rewarding feeling that I have to imagine the many teachers that I know, the many teachers I've had in my family, my parents among them, but cousins and nieces and nephews and folks who have really pursued that field always have my respect, because I don't know how they get up in front of a classroom every day and dare to be insightful and informative all day long in the classroom of kids or adults. And it's such an important field. And in our country, less and less are we valuing that where it should be, but also there are plenty of folk who are still willing to go in there and take that heavy weight. And I learn a lot just being sort of a shadow to other teachers. It's impressive to me.
I love that. And gosh, I just have to take my hat off to you, because again, with the amount of good that you're doing in the community and with the different avenues that you've chosen to do so, it's really incredible. And I want to know, like, what is your end? Do you have an end goal, or what is your magnum opus, if you will?
Oh gosh, no, I don't. I don't think I have an end goal in mind per se. I used to think about if I had an opportunity to create my own nonprofit or some organization or a company, I mean, I technically have my own company, being an entrepreneur, but that's not really what I'm talking about. Like to create some vision of an organization, I used to think, I wonder what it would be. I wonder what I would want that to be. And there are so many things in community that I love. And I love tackling these initiatives and issues and programs and challenges that come my way by way of my clientele. One of the things, though, that's really, really important to me has to do with really complete wellness. Wellness in the sense of health and safety, but wellness in the sense of balanced mind, balanced approach to life, and really being mindful in communication. And so those are so many different things that people understand innately, and whether they choose to use them or not, whether they choose to behave in that way, whether any of us choose to do things that are good for us or good for others, that's probably just part of our human nature, that we go up and down in achieving that. But at the end of the day, I've never seen that we are going to ever have too much help out in the world. And gosh, we just solved all that scholarship issue for everybody. We don't need to do that anymore. And gee, nobody has any kind of illness or challenge or mental or behavioral challenge. We can ignore that. No way. All these things are just always going to be there. So there's plenty of opportunity to come together and try to create some social change. And that doesn't always have to be really liberal and wild and crazy out there, or even really big. What it can be is moderate and consistent, so that it's sustainable and always there. And over time, will continue to involve other people, which means other perspectives. And times will always be changing. So it means being adaptable and being relevant. And so if there's a place that I can hold those kinds of lessons and bring others in who are far more eloquent than I and far better at teaching than I, but if I can help facilitate that kind of exchange, I think that would be a really, really neat thing. And so little bits and pieces of me do that. And I'm getting emotional right now because
Okay.
I am remembering really wonderful people in my life who are not with us anymore, but who taught me that. And it makes me really proud to be continuing to be in this space to do these things that they taught. So I think there's plenty of opportunity with small business, certainly, because you see so much passion in all sizes, of all industries, of all places. And also those who are in these community orgs and public agencies who are committed, are really focused in trying to do the right thing. And so I think I'm kind of already doing it a little bit with these organizations. And one thing that I really get excited about is when people like you and I can come together, excuse me, can come together and be able to provide a platform where people can show their vulnerabilities. Quite frankly, like I just did. Like I just cried a little bit. My voice cracked a little bit. I'm sure my facial expression changed. But I'm really proud that I feel that way. And I'm proud that I have had, parents or dear friends who imparted that on me before they went on and before they passed. So one thing that I think a lot of nonprofits don't realize that they have the power to do is to help other nonprofits. And they can do that by actually mentoring other leaders, by sharing in-kind resources, by collaborating to go after funding together and tell a bigger story, or, rather than competing, the pie speak might seem like it's small, but it really has plenty of room for everybody to get a slice. Sometimes you can just have an even deeper slice or a slightly bigger slice if you go in it together instead of competing against each other. And so that's a notion that I think sometimes nonprofit organizations forget because they're so nose to the grindstone and looking at what they're doing. There also can be so much benefit in public and private partnerships. Sometimes we think of those as kind of government and corporate America, but it really is entrepreneurs, small businesses, and nonprofits coming together as well. And some nonprofits can help fiscally sponsor another one. If that one is, if an organization is starting up or is going through some sort of change and either doesn't have its status or for some reason needs to take a break from having it, there's just lots of ways that things can. And so I like to make sure that people remember they have options.
Yes, absolutely. Come on. Beautiful. I mean, you're obviously so passionate about what you do and keeping that spark alive, like you said, that was instilled in you and the people that shared their wisdom with you and believed in you. And you're here, you're holding the torch, and you're opening the doors for so many others, including myself, to come together and build this platform. And I can't tell you, I mean, my audience knows, I can't tell you how many times I sat here with tears running down my face, just being like, what is going on? Like, I am so grateful. And I just want to say that, as far as our community, as far as this platform, as far as myself are concerned, whatever you need to put out into the world, you have us at your disposal. And if I can help you in one way or another, we are here to do so.
Thank you.
So if you ever just want to talk things out, and I hope that next time I have my studio set up properly to be able to have you here in person, we can feel the energy of having a real conversation. But I really want to have you here in studio and be able to have these conversations and just let you know that we're here for you. And I see that your passion shines through. So the question that I asked, what your purpose is, you're fulfilling it right now. And we here at People Helping People are here to support you in any way that we can.
Well, thank you very much. This has been such a wonderful opportunity. I am honored to have been invited to be on your podcast. I do hope to hear from any of your listeners and viewers if they have questions, even if it's about how we might all support you and continue to support you. And I'll make sure that you have the right information early enough so that you can let your viewers and listeners know how to come see our show and hopefully how to tune in. I'm going to tell you all again, it'll be Monday, October 27th. And I believe you're coming on the 8 a.m. segment. That's 8 a.m. Arizona time. So that would be the same as Pacific Daylight. If folks are on the West Coast or wherever they might be tuning in from. And we'll have some links up and ways that people can call in if they want to and ask a question, or they might put a comment in the chat and we'll see it. But what a joy to be able to speak positively and share some insights. And I do hope that we get to do this again.
Absolutely. I think that this is one of many conversations, and the fact that you are here arms wide open to help other nonprofits as well. We have launched Driven to Give, and we are building a partnership between you and Driven to Give as the fiscal sponsor of a beautiful mission of us trying to raise enough money. I still don't know how it's going to come together, but we're going to do it. I didn't know
we're
how
still working the details on that, but I know that it will, and I'm so excited about that too. Yes,
and it's just man, I didn't know how the last sponsoring of kids to go to camp was going to come together, and it just always does. If you just keep your head down and keep moving in the right direction, things happen. And I appreciate you for being a part of this journey and for sharing so much information and yourself with my community. And before we let you go, Lydia, is there anything that you'd like to leave with our audience tonight?
I think, and I've put it up in case anybody can see my screen. I know my video is acting a little funny, But this phrase a friend shared with me a long time ago, and I have kept it up certainly for the fall, for the Thanksgiving season, but it's something that I believe all year long. And it simply is, let our lives be full of both thanks and giving. And I think that sums it up right there. We all have something to be grateful for, and we all have something we can share with others.
Ladies and gentlemen, so good. Lydia Aranda, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks so much. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Come on. Come on. How can you not feel warm inside after that? Jeez Louise, Lydia Aranda, amazing, incredible, inspiring. And that's what this boils down to. How incredible is that we as a community get to come together and have these interviews, and if you guys have questions, we get to ask them live on the show. And I'm just inspired. I'm excited about everything that we at People Helping People are doing, and to have people like Lydia on the show to just give us that extra little oomph, that extra little boost, and knowing that she's here to open her network of individuals to you guys. I know we have people that either are aspiring interviewer, or sorry, I was reading a comment as that it's aspiring business owners are currently are business owners. Give Lydia an email. Shoot her an email. If you're just tuning in, go back, and Lydia's email is there in the comments. But just reach out. See how we can help one another and build each other up to really make an impact. And before I let you guys go, I'm just excited to be doing this, you guys, and just so grateful. But before we go, let's talk about our sponsors a little bit. Tonight's show is sponsored by Mike Silkowski. Mike, we love you. He's your local partner in getting your message in front of the right people. Mike specializes in helping businesses right here in Southern Arizona reach their ideal customers through TV and streaming services. He's not just sponsoring this chapter 3 of People Helping People. He's building partnerships, and he doesn't succeed unless you do. So if you're ready to grow your business with someone who's invested in your success, call Mike directly at 515-305-5311. Again, that's 515-305-5311. And if you go into the description, if you didn't catch that while it's live, his phone number is there. If you own a business of any kind in Southern Arizona and you need help, call him. Just like Lydia, he is an arms wide open individual. He is a friend of mine now, and I'm grateful, and I'm proud to be representing Mike. So give him a holler. This episode of People Helping People is also sponsored by T-Town Boxing, Tucson's home for boxing, kickboxing, and recovery classes for all ages. T-Town Boxing isn't just a gym, it's a community where you can build confidence, discipline, and lifelong skills. From kids to adults, beginners to experienced fighters, T-Town Boxing offers a space to grow, train, and challenge yourself. So, if you're ready to push your limits and join an amazing community, reach out to T-Town Boxing on Instagram at instagram.com/T-Town Boxing or their website, boxingtucson.com. And the owner of T-Town Boxing, Jake Wilson, we talk about him every episode because he deserves it. Boxing saved his life multiple times over through a lot. Through thick and thin, boxing was always there. So he opened a gym to be able to give that to other people in the world. And we love you, Jake. Thank you for being a sponsor of the show. This episode is also sponsored by the Diabetes Network of Arizona. It's a community built by people living with type 1 diabetes for people living with type 1 diabetes. They're home to Arizona's only family. They're home to Arizona's only family camp for type 1 diabetics, Camp ASDA, which we raised over $3,800 for. Incredible. Every dollar raised stays right here in Arizona, helping our neighbors and loved ones. Last year, they provided scholarships for families to attend camp, delivered thousands of life-saving diabetic supplies, and launched programs to protect foster youth and support schools across the state. Because no family should ever face diabetes alone. And with your help, they don't have to. You can make a difference today. The donation link is below in the description. That's the Diabetes Network of Arizona, building a stronger, healthier Arizona together. And the owner of the Diabetes Network of Arizona reached out to me, and we had been working side by side for so long without even knowing it. And she reached out, and I'm like, you're not going to believe this. We just raised X amount of dollars for your company, for your nonprofit. And the marriage was made. And so I'm so proud to be representing those guys over there. And they do such incredible things. And soon, this is an announcement that'll be new to everybody listening. Soon, my home will become a hub, the first hub in Tucson for people needing diabetic supplies. So anybody and everybody, if you run out of a glucose monitor, if you need insulin, if you need any type of diabetic supplies, they will be donated, and my home will become an open door for anybody that is in need. Me being a type 1 diabetic myself, it is so stinking expensive and scary if you go to a new place and forget your insulin or forget your needles or forget your CGMs. So she said that she was looking for people to expand out here, and I said, sign me up. Let's do it. Let's do it. So we're here to help and taking on everything that we can to do as much as we can with as little as we do have right now. We're doing the most. So I want to thank everybody for joining us on this incredible, inspiring episode of People Helping People with our friend Lydia. And I hope that everybody got as much from this conversation as I did. And I'm so sorry for these technical difficulties. We're moving the space. Don't worry. So thank you guys for hanging tough. And we appreciate you. We'll see you Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We love you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Yeah. What's everybody fighting for? Why can't people help people? That's the question.